You know, back in the 90s and the 80s, Capcom was a more interesting company. I mean, I don't mean to the fact that they're not an interesting company now, although it could be argued that they're a little crazier now considering what they've done with all their franchises, they and Konami. But I'm more talking about the simple fact that, unlike a lot of companies back then, especially when it came to all the Nintendo games, where everybody else was going and making, super games, or they were plastering different names on the more recent generations of their video games, for the most part, Capcom stuck with their numbering system from their previous generation. You went all the way up to 7 into the Super NES. But when Capcom actually learned and saw what the Super Nintendo was capable of with things like Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, especially Donkey Kong Country, goodness gracious, and just a bunch of other games that were showing off the power of this 16-bit system, they decided, you know what, let's give it a shot ourselves. So not only did they go and try a bunch of new things that were natural evolutions to their previous games, but they also went and decided to go and rename their newest series and make it so that we have a brand new series with sort of the same protagonists, but essentially an evolution of what he became. Which results into the game that I remember the most from my childhood, or one of the most, Mega Man X, which we'll be Let's Playing for you today. Honestly, when it comes to the X series compared to the regular series, this was always the quote-unquote gritty 90s reboot. A lot of people like to point at other series. But in all seriousness, that's what it was. Mega Man X, for lack of the better word, was a more serious, more quote-unquote adult-friendly game compared to Mega Man, because we gotta admit, Mega Man was getting a little silly with a lot of its Robot Masters. Not to say the Robot Masters here aren't silly as well, as we'll get to them in a little bit, but I mean, immediately the feel of everything with like the spikes and the just how angry some of the enemies look, it always made you feel like they took this a little bit more seriously than they took the original Mega Man franchise. And unlike the Mega Man franchise, you could see just the evolution of the series and how they decided to change things up. It's like immediately from off the bat, whereas Mega Man had to wait, 4 or 5 games to go and be capable of charging up. You're able to charge up right now. And something entirely new in the Mega Man X series, you're actually able to slide. Now, there is a particular reason I'm actually avoiding the rest of that health. You'll see so in a bit. But honestly, it just made things more than a little interesting to see just what they were deciding to play with and just how serious they could go with this series. Now, mind you, the series actually became quite goofy later on. I think most people will point to Mega Man X, was it 6 or 7, that had the "what are we fighting for" bit from Zero, a character we'll be meeting quite shortly. But in general, it's just a game that I always found enjoying, and it's one of those few games I've actually been able to do like a little special, what's the term I'm looking for? Not strategy, but, damn it, Prof. Come on, think. You know your words. Oh, it was like, basically it was a special limitation. There we go. Oh, it really took me to figure out that word that long. But basically, one of the whole special limitations, like, for people who are familiar with, like, the Nuzlocke games, that's what I'm talking about. Except with Mega Man X, what I did was I did a Buster-only run. Now, mind you, the final boss was still a bitch and a half to deal with, but You know, I still found that, believe it or not, oh, really? There was an extra life back there. Oh, but there was still, I still found that, believe it or not, the Buster Run is actually probably more useful to you than actually fighting the enemies with their weaknesses. I'll get to that when I actually have a weakness to fight in with. But here's the reason why I say you don't really care about health that much, because, well, we're stuck in a storyline fight here. This is Vile. We will be seeing him only one other time in this game, really. It's weird because he's built up quite a bit, both in the instruction manual and a little bit of the cartoon. And he's a really tough boss fight no matter what you're doing, but I just found it interesting that a Boba Fett lookalike was always the most dangerous thing to see. Though considering the power of Boba Fett, that could be saying something. Now here's a quick question for all of you. Show of hands. How many thought that Zero was a girl when they first got introduced to him? And honestly, how many people thought he would be better as a girl? Because at the time of Mega Man X's creation, there were only, what, 2 really well-known female game characters that actually fought? I mean, we had Chun-Li and Samus, and that was about it, I think. And then, I mean, Mega Man X eventually introduced a lot of female characters later down the line, but none of them that actually go into battle with you. I don't know. But, oh god, yes, the dreaded password system. This is how you saved your game in Mega Man X. And I think X2. I want to say X3 as well. But with that little intro stage out of the way, the little setup, we get to see our 8 robot masters, or as they're called in this game, Mavericks. For those of you who were basically paying attention to the storyline, hey, good on ya. I love story. But for this, most of the story is not really, well, so to speak, shown up front. Basic rundown. All these guys were once part of our own team of little robot-busting heroes, and now they're all basically caught a virus that made them all evil, and made them follow another guy who was basically the leader of them, called Sigma. Our job is to find and defeat Sigma. But we have Flame Mammoth, Boomer Kawanger, Sting Chameleon, Spark Mandrill, Storm Eagle, Armored Armadillo, Launch Octopus, and Chill Penguin. We'll be starting with Chill Penguin because he's considered to be by many the easiest of the bosses, although frankly I can go in any which order. He's also considered to be the best guy to start with because, well, you'll see. But I always found it interesting here that probably one of the more unique aspects of Mega Man X that I always adored, and I kind of wish they would do it a little bit more in other games, is what order you do with the bosses will actually affect how the rest of the stages go. And I don't mean like, oh hey, you have a weapon that's strong against another boss, like what most Mega Man games are well known for. I mean, finishing a stage here will actually have a physical effect on another stage. So for example, defeating Chill Penguin here and actually defeating him will cause an effect in another stage. If my memory serves me correctly, Flame Mammoths. This makes it so that you end up having stages that become a lot easier, and hell, some of the secrets of those stages become available once you actually go and defeat the previous boss that actually counters them. Matter of fact, to this day, I have hard time beating Sting Chameleon stage without, defeating the boss that alters his stage. But then again, Sting Chameleon's a bit of a butt regardless of what you do. But here's the other reason why we want to go into Chill Penguin stage first. Turns out, as people might know storyline-wise, the original creator of X was Dr. Light, the same creator of Mega Man. Who would have thought? But what Light did, basically, was he put down these little capsules that would give X power-ups every single time he stumbled upon them. Because essentially, Dr. Light figured that eventually, like Mega Man himself, he would eventually have to go and fight to save the world. It just seems like the world is destined to get in trouble, and we have to have X help us out. But now, with this capsule, we'll be able to go and get an augment to our body here. Now, what I find interesting is that this particular augment, it's like, it makes us all white now, but later games we just go back to being blue. I never understood why video game companies like to do that. It's like, oh hey, let's give this character power-ups, and now let's go weaken him. But with this, we can now dash. And almost die. But this becomes a staple ability for X later on in the series, to where he's almost always given the ability to dash right off the bat. Now here's a quick question. Why are ostriches in a frickin' ice stage with a penguin? It never made sense to me. Then again, it's not the only weird design choice that Capcom or Nintendo or any video game company ever did. I'm just wondering if there's like something in Japanese that explains it. Oh, I needed that. Now here's something I actually didn't know until probably a few years back. If you actually approach that guy over there in the mobile suit without your own mobile suit, he'll actually start outside it, to where you can kill him actually a lot faster than you would be able to with the mobile suit. It makes him more of a just interesting character to deal with. It also allows you to steal his mobile suit, though it's not too useful. Wow, I am just getting decked all over the place. Really? Oh, thank you. I needed that. Of course, then we also have the prep chamber, as I like to call it. The little save spot here, to where if we die, we'll spawn right back here, because right here is the boss. Chill Penguin! Now, Chill here has a couple different moves. He'll fire ice shards at you, which, as you saw there, have 2 different speeds. He'll do a little charge attack. Oh, he'll have an ability that allows him to go and create little penguin statues. And then he'll also jump onto that little hook onto the ceiling and create a snowstorm. It'll actually push you wherever you see the snow going. As you can see, in just describing what he's capable of doing, I've already nearly defeated him. Yeah. Wow, I nearly avoided that. But with that, Chill is dead! And thus, the easiest boss of Mega Man X is defeated. We'll be only coming back here for the secret heart container, because, you know, there's got to be a way to increase our life. Every stage has 1 heart container. 4 stages have secret health tanks that allow us to go and get our energy back. I think that's actually it for secrets. Well, until the very end of the game, at least. But defeating Chill Penguin gives us a new password, gives us his ability Shotgun Ice, and I think that will actually end it off for now. I know it's kind of weird because we only did 1 boss, but we also did the opening as well. So, next time when we return, instead of actually doing the boss I would normally do in second order, because I normally go straight to Storm Eagle and defeat him next, because, well, Storm Eagle is just as easy to defeat as Chill Penguin is, in my opinion. And Storm Eagle also has our next body part power-up. But I think we'll go in actual defeat order in terms of defeating a character that has the next weakness. Or maybe not. Because that will be Spark Mandrill here. And I want to at least show 1 of the stages before they're destroyed by someone else's. So until next time, guys, we'll probably be doing Sparkman Drill. Till next time.